Hello everybody, welcome to our PatentSight webinar on how to apply patent analytics for better investment decisions. My name is Sven Rüdikait. I'm the Director of Business Development, Financial Institutions at PatentSight. I'm here today with my colleague Goran, who's also from the Business Development team. And yeah, today we want to introduce you to PatentSight, our analytics, and show you also some use cases how patent analytics can add value to or for investment decisions. We want to start with a brief company overview and introduction to our methodology, how we handle patent data, how we evaluate patent quality. We'll show you some use cases, how you can get insights out of the data, and later on Goran will perform a live analysis for ESG investments in our business analytics platform. So maybe to start with the company history, PatentSight is a German company. We're still based in Bonn, Germany, the former capital of Germany. And the company started actually in 2008 as a university spin-off from WHU, this is Germany's leading business school. And we started as a consulting company advising pharma and chemical companies on how to optimize their patent portfolios, on how to maximize the innovative strengths. So we have a strong scientific background. Everything we do is based on academic research. And during our work with these blue chip pharma clients and chemical clients, we recognize that there's a high demand for a self-service business analytics solutions. And then we started developing our own software, our PatentSight analytics platform. So we transformed from a consulting company to a software company and launched our new product in 2012. And since then, we built up a global blue chip client base across the globe. We have a lot of clients in the pharma, chemical sector, in automotive, technology, but also engineering. So basically, any industry that is IP driven, they're using our products. We also have quite some unique use cases. For example, the EU Commission, they used our patent data for evaluating certain mergers and acquisitions. For example, the Dow-DuPont merger, and also the Bayer-Monsanto merger more recently. What did they do with our data? They used patent data to assess the innovative strengths of companies, and they checked if a certain company, like a combined entity, has an innovation monopoly in certain areas, or if there's still room for competition. So it's a pretty unique use case, and it shows how relevant patent and innovation analytics can be for business decisions. I joined the company in 2018. In 2018, we became also part of LexisNexis, the RELX group. And I have a finance and consulting background, and I started developing the financial institution space. We have worked with some private equity investors before, more on an opportunistic basis. And since 2018, we actively targeting the investment space. First time we pitched this was 2018 in October in London, and then later in New York. And in New York, we won the Best Data Provider Award with our pitch for the data with the highest alpha potential. It was also all voted by leading investors, so they really see the value of our data. Why do we do this? So why is it worth looking at the patent? Our assumption is, and our research has shown, on our work with different blue chip clients from the IP space, that if a company owns a key patent on a relevant technology, that there's a high chance that this company will later produce a commercially successful product. And this, of course, can impact the revenue and the stock price performance of a company. So the question our clients are asking is, how can I identify a company owning these key patents? And this is where we help our clients. Some of you might be familiar with patent data, others not. The good thing about patent data is publicly available, so everybody can source patent data from the patent offices worldwide. It's public data, there's no compliance issues attached. The problem with patent data, nevertheless, is the data quality. First of all, we're talking about incomplete ownership information. So the data mapping is a real problem. What does it mean? A patent is filed by an applicant, and an applicant can be a private person or it can be a company. So for example, if you use public patent data and you type in Apple, you will find some patents that belong to Apple. But you will also miss a lot of patents that were filed by Apple, but under different names, maybe under the name of a daughter company, or maybe under the name of a private inventor working for Apple. So you have Max Miller as an applicant, and in first instance, you don't know that he belongs to Apple, right? So this is a major problem dealing with patents, the mapping to the companies, because this is, I would say, the basis for any commercial analysis. Another problem is the ambiguous legal status information. A patent has a lifetime of 20 years, and in this 20 years, it's protecting an invention. However, if a patent is running out, it's just worth the piece of paper. There's no value attached to the patent anymore. So as an investor or R&D professional, I have to be sure that if I look at the patent of a company that's still active, that it's still protecting the invention. And the last point is errors and wrong translations. As you might know, China is really picking up also when it comes to innovation activity. And there are a lot of patents filed. The problem with these patents is sometimes getting the right translations, translating it into English, mapping them to the right companies. So it's a problem at the moment. So these are, I would say, the data quality issues with patent data. There's another challenge, it's the data masses. In 2019, companies, they spent 2.5 trillion US dollars on global R&D expenditures. And this is quite a number, obviously. So why is that? These businesses, they have recognized that innovation has become a main driver of business growth. So they're investing into R&D. And you can see the same picture with patent data. We had 3.2 million patent applications in 2019. 1/3 is already coming from China. So you can see the impact of the Chinese economy. The issue is that a lot of these patents don't have any commercial value. And statistics say, several statistics, that about 80% of all patents that are filed worldwide don't have any commercial impact, meaning there won't be a product or a revenue stream created based on these patents. And a lot of patents from China, for example, are just, the piece of paper. They don't have any impact. So what investors have to focus on is if a company has valuable patents, meaningful patents in their portfolio, patents that are likely to be commercialized in the future. And with that, PatentSight can help. We have built our sophisticated methodology on how to source patent data, work with patent data, to map the patent data, and to evaluate the patent data to show investors if a company has meaningful IP in their portfolio. My colleague Goran will give you a brief overview of our methodology. It's a step-by-step approach, and also if you have questions, we have a chat functionality. Please feel free to write down your question, and in the end, we will try to answer the questions.
Thank you, Sven. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Goran. Thank you for the introduction, Sven. I'm working in the business development team with Sven together. So basically, I'm supporting our worldwide customers coming from the financial sector here. And to give you a brief overview on how our methodology works, I separated these into two phases. So the first step or first process is that we collect worldwide patent data from all these patent offices across the world. So this is the first step. Then we collect them into our PatentSight database, which by today contains more than 100 million patent documents here. So just to stress this here a little bit, also among these 100 million patent documents are also all the patents coming from the stock listed companies here. So to structure those patents, we are using the EPO's simple family concept, meaning we are building patent families. So this means that patent family can have, for example, two members which are protecting the same invention. So the one member could be a patent protecting the invention in the US, and the other member could be a member in China protecting the same invention. So these two members are building a patent family. This is really important to understand here, so that this is necessary that these two family members are protecting the same invention and they have the same priority here. So basically, this first step is about gathering information and building them or clustering them into simple families. Then two really crucial steps come into the game. So the first thing here is checking the legal status. This is something that Sven already mentioned here. It's really important to know if a patent is active and granted, or it already is dead, like we say. So probably it was dropped by the owner, or it expired its 20 years lifetime. So this is something we do in-house, checking the legal status aspect. At the same time, we are tracking the ultimate owners. So it means we are offering a corporate tree which gives you detailed information on who actually belongs to a company. So just imagine a company like Samsung with hundreds of subsidiaries and joint ventures. It's really crucial to know which subsidiaries and joint ventures actually belong to Samsung. So in the end, we can say, okay, all these patents which have been applied by the subsidiaries of Samsung, in the end, belong to Samsung. So this decision power here is in the hands of the ultimate owner. This is just, by the way, something that is unique here and one of our USPs. Once we checked this and once we cleaned these data, so we come to apply our methodology. So basically, this is what you see here in this blue bubble. So if you look at the left side, we have this indicator which is called technology relevance. I like to use, or I like to translate the technology relevance as a qualitative aspect on patents. Meaning, for example, it's the same approach, or could be compared to an academia or the world of academia, where citations play a really important role. So it's the same with patents. Patents can be cited. And the more a patent is relevant and has an impact on further innovation, the more citation this patent will receive. On the right side, we see the market coverage, and this is what I like to translate with the quantitative aspect here. So we assume, or not only we, but there is this assumption that patents which are of high impact on further innovation will be protected really broad in global perspective. So if we just have a patent which is not relevant at all, probably the applicant or the inventor won't protect this patent globally. On the other side, like I said, patents which are of high impact on further innovation, they will receive a lot of citations, and at the same time, they will be protected really broad in the markets. The good thing with these two indicators is that this is not just an idea we came up with, but this is also objective, transparent, and maybe one of the most important things, it's empirically validated and also industry proven by our worldwide customers. So what then? After we identify the technology relevance and the market coverage, we multiply these two figures. And this will result into the competitive impact. So the competitive impact for one single patent family is a figure or measurement for the individual strength of a patent family. Summing up all competitive impacts in a given portfolio, and this does not mean only a portfolio owned by a company, a portfolio can also be defined by a technology field, for example, but summing up all these competitive impacts from all the single patent families, we come to the patent asset index as a measurement for the cumulative strength of a given portfolio. So this is just a really brief overview on our approach, and I would be really happy if you have any further questions on this, maybe not today, but if you think about it a little bit. So I would be very happy to receive your emails, calls, whatever, to decide or to discuss this further on.
Perfect. So what we're now going to do is we show you some use cases, how our methodology looks like applied in practice. to make the whole thing a bit more practical. One example, one particularly often used example is a trend scouting example. In this graph on the left, we see a classical patent filing analysis. And this kind of analysis was done for many years, and it's maybe the reason why nobody in the investment sector used patent data in the last decades, because it's very hard to work with the data. So what you see on the x-axis is the filing year, so the year and that a patent was filed, and on the y-axis you see the number of patents. And in this specific case, all of these patents filed are citing swatch technology. So you can say there are companies or people filing for a patent which is based on swatch technology. So maybe they're solving the same problem as swatch, but in a more sophisticated way. Every line in this graph represents one applicant. An applicant can be a private person or a company. It can be two daughter companies of the same company, you don't know. So what you see is basically a haystack. There's no clear trend visible. The very same data cleaned and processed by our algorithm and with our methodology applied looks like this. So what did we change? First of all, we went away from the applicant level to the ultimate owner concept we're applying. So it can be that multiple lines from the left now result in one line on the right. Now every line represents a company, the legal entity with the commercial power over the invention. And what we also changed is we went away from the filing year, so the year a patent was filed, to what we call the reporting date. I think you all are familiar with stock prices. So stock prices can go up or down, like in the last days, over time. And in our concept, the same applies to patent data. A patent can increase or decrease in value over time in our methodology. So what you're seeing on the y-axis is what we call the patent asset index of these patent citing swatches, which is the innovative strengths of these patents. So what you're basically seeing is that there's one company out of many companies citing swatch patents, but the patents of these companies are continuously increasing in value. So you can say this seems to be a highly disruptive company in the space because they are outgrowing their competitors by far. I think some of you already have an idea which company this was in the last years disrupting the watch industry. It was Apple. Apple, they were building the Apple Watch, and this example becomes really interesting if you look at the timeline. So the first rumors that Apple was building a wearable device, they came out in 2011. And with our data at this point in time, you could have seen this coming actually. So the iPhone was launched in 2007. And then Apple started building a new device, and they were patenting their device. So with patents based on swatch technology, actually. So they were using parts of swatches work, but maybe delivered a more sophisticated solution. And with our data and PatentSight data in specific, you can see that you can really get a time advantage when it comes to product developments of companies, because you can really get early insights into such developments. From an economic point of view, this is a very important analysis. The Swiss watch industry has been, I think, 20 billion heavy in total. Apple, they made, I think, $7 billion with the Apple Watch alone. And the thing is that no other traditional watch company has seen this coming. So Swatch, they couldn't react in time, only afterwards, because they didn't apply sophisticated competitive intelligence features back in that day, and so that was maybe a chance for Apple to steal away a major part of the cake. I think this is a very, very good example for trend scouting. Another example is R&D benchmarking. When I was pitching this in New York, a lot of investors were approaching me and they were saying, "Hey, is there any opportunity for us or any possibility how we can assess the quality or the quality of a company's R&D work? So if they're doing efficient R&D work, Because what investors, and you guys know that, are normally left with when it comes to evaluating IP-driven companies is the total R&D expenditures. Yeah? And these are just costs. So if you look at Roche and Pfizer in this example, Roche, they spent 10 billion in 2017, Pfizer roughly 8 billion. If you had to answer which company is doing better in the future, it's impossible to say. Certainly, today's R&D work is the future business success, but just based by the total R&D expenditures, it's impossible to say which company is doing better, especially if you focus on certain market segments or want to understand certain products. Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, for example, is a major market in the United States. United States, they spent 260 billion on healthcare expenses for Alzheimer's disease in 2017. But like based on these total numbers, it's super hard to say which company is doing better in this field. We can help with this actually. We have a lot of pharma and healthcare clients in our client base, and we are very good in assessing trends in this area. I don't know if you guys are covering the pharma market actively, but in January 2018, Pfizer ended the funding for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. The news came out in January 2018. And for many analysts, this came like out of the blue because they couldn't understand why Pfizer is stepping down. It's such a major market, there's such a high revenue potential. Why are they ending the funding in this area? Well, our clients and with our data, you would have seen the following picture. So what are we looking at? We're looking at the development of innovative strengths over time. So the time is on the x-axis, the innovative strengths measured by our patent asset index is on the y-axis. And we're not looking at the total patent portfolio of Roche and Pfizer. We're just looking at patents that relate to the drugs for disorders of the nervous system. So only drugs for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. And with our database, we can slice and dice the data in any way, by company, by technology, or by patent class, like in this is an IPC class in this case. So what you see is the development of R&D quality of Roche and Pfizer over time for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And what you see is that Pfizer is losing in innovative strengths in this area since the year 2008, basically. While Roche is steadily increasing. And I guess Pfizer in 2016, the management said, hey, let's stop throwing good money after bad. We are focusing on other areas in the future. And you can read this in the news. And, you could have read this in the last weeks, actually, that are focusing on other major areas. Because this is a very typical characteristic of unsuccessful R&D efforts. The company is spending billions after billions for a certain topic in R&D, but not producing any results, as you can see in this graph. So it could mean they're not producing valuable patents. It also means valuable patents running out. So this is always a clear signal that something is going wrong. And without this kind of analysis, any discretionary investor has to rely on very subjective statements by the investing company. So if you go to a CTO, CFO interview, for example, and you have to challenge them on their R&D excellence, it's very, very hard to get an objective statement. With this data, you actually can challenge them. So it should be really interesting for everybody with the fundamental investment strategy. What we're also doing is, and we're doing much more, is ESG investing or ESG screenings. It's a hot topic in Europe, also picking up in the States. What we can do is we can help investors identify companies investing into technologies for the mitigation of climate change by looking at their patents in certain technology fields. We are building the technology fields ourselves, and we have partners, innovation experts and technology experts building these fields. So it's manual work. In this case, we're combining big data analytics with expert analysis. And by this approach, we can tell every investor which companies are investing in climate-friendly technologies like renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable consumption, for example. These topics can also be broken down to subtopics if you're really interested in the details. And we can also tell you if a company is investing in toxic or debatable technologies, like nuclear power, tobacco, weapons. And this is really unique because our patent indicators are forward-looking, and these are I think, one of the very rare indicators that are forward-looking in the ESG space. Most of the data is backward-looking. And also our data is scientifically validated. So it's really, really unique data. And by applying this data in these technology fields, you can produce really unique analysis. For example, we can benchmark all globally listed, stock-listed companies by their share of innovative strengths in toxic technologies. So you can see that, I mean, British American Tobacco, for example, and maybe it's not a surprise that derive a lot of their innovative strengths from tobacco technology, right? Maybe something you don't want to be invested in. But also like Korea Power, you see 15.7% is coming from nuclear energy. And this is really objective data. At the same time, we can benchmark companies that are doing better, companies that are investing in technologies for the mitigation of climate change. This can also be used for impact investing, for example. If you look at Neste Oil, it's a very interesting company from Finland for synthetic oils. They derive 63.4% of the innovative strengths from climate-friendly energy sources. You can also split this up, as you see, as for BASF. We can exactly tell you where the innovative strength is coming from. If you look at car manufacturers, for example, we can see which car manufacturers are leading the field in green transportation technology. So electric vehicles, for example. In this example, we see Toyota, the bubble on the right, on the very right. They have the largest portfolio. Maybe it's not a surprise. They're leading the field. But the average quality of the portfolio is lower when compared to other manufacturers. And it's maybe a surprise that BYD and Fiat Chrysler in the very left upper corner are leading the field from a quality perspective. So with our methodology, we say BYD and Fiat Chrysler, they have the most meaningful technology in their portfolio when it comes to green transportation technology. And as you can see, all the German manufacturers, they're kind of lagging behind. They have not many valuable patents in this space. GM and Ford, for example, are doing much better. And we can do this analysis also for autonomous driving or any technology field you're interested in, which is currently a trend. One last example before I hand over to Goran. You can also analyze if a company is transforming. And if you look at the oil companies, which nowadays call themselves energy companies, you can track if they're really transforming from a crude oil company to a more modern, progressive, renewable energy company. So what we're looking at in this example is, again, the development over time. But in this example, we are tracking the share of innovative strengths in climate-friendly technologies compared to the rest of the patent portfolio. So as a reading example, you can see that Total and BP in 2018, they derived 40% of the innovative strengths already from clean technologies. So you can say these companies are really transforming. They really want to become a renewable, clean energy company that is able to compete in the market of the future. Where you look at Chevron, they're not transforming in oil, not at all. They're sticking to crude oil, and once fossil fuels are running out, they're going to be much clueless in this market. So that's it. There are many analyses possible. Goran will now show you our analytics platform in a live demonstration. We will focus further on ESG because it's such an important topic at the moment. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to use our chat and we will try to answer all the questions in the end.
Perfect. Thanks for this, Sven. And yes, I think this is a good point to jump directly into our software. And also ESG is really I would say, hot topic at the moment. We can track this not only in the news, but also here from our patent perspective, for example. So what I did here in a couple of analyses is to showing you first of all, in an overall perspective, or from an overall perspective, how are different ESG fields developing in terms of quantity and quality, and then later on we will narrow down a little bit more to come to a concrete or to some concrete companies which are active in these fields. So what I did here, first of all, is selecting a tag. Basically, a tag is nothing more than a folder where we collect all these patents which are related to ESG fields. So basically what I did here is clustering by 5 different ESG fields here. So we see efficiency, energy, sustainable consumption, climate change mitigation and mobility, and climate change mitigation and adaptation in other fields. So having this one tag in my filter, I can already set up 2 charts and having 2 perspectives. So what we see on the left chart here, and let me just make this a little bit bigger. So we see the portfolio size trend. So how are the portfolios in terms of quantity developing over time? And on the right side, we see how these technologies here in ESG are developing in terms of quality, which is measured here by our patent asset index, what you can see. And it's pretty obvious to see that the blue line, which is the efficiency tag, so all the patents from different companies and owners here, which are related to the ESG efficiency tag, is on top. So not only on top in terms of portfolio size, but also on top in terms of the quality. So, but not to look at the top ones. I think everybody is looking at the top ones. So I decided to go on further with the second line. So this is the orange line here, which represents all the patents which are classified in ESG energy. So this is just basically clicking into this line, and you can drill down into either a result list to get more details on the concrete patents, or you can look at, for example, different widgets we have here. So what I did then is to drill down into the field of energy. Therefore, I set up this bubble chart to get an overview on which kind of companies or which industry sectors are active in this field of ESG energy. And what we already can see here, this is something similar that Sven already showed in the presentation, is that the field of energy here is not only targeted on one industry, but there are automotive companies like, let's say, Toyota. We have research institutes like the Chinese Academy of Science, but we also have some other players like Samsung, GE, or the company Merck. So this led me then to think about, okay, what exactly is energy, or what exactly is within this field? And to get a better understanding on the technologies which are basically covered by this ESG energy tag, I set up this nice sunburst chart we newly created here to translate patent language here into easy understandable language for everybody. So what we can see here in the inner circle, for example, are the hierarchy 1 level of technology fields. So it's pretty obvious that the field of electronics here has the biggest share in this circle. But when looking at the hierarchy level 2, for example, then we see that automotive also plays a big role, or a good role here in this field. So this led me to drill down a little bit more into the field of automotive within the ESG energy tag. So what I did here is simply focusing on the top 15 companies in automotive, and to see how are they doing in terms of their ESG energy patents. So what you can see here on the y-axis are these 15 companies I've selected, and on the lower x-axis we see their portfolio size in the field of ESG energy. So this is also represented by these gray bars here you can see. I added some figures to make it a little bit better to read. And on the upper x-axis, we see the share in the entire or the total portfolio size of these companies. To make this a little bit more understandable, I will, for example, click here on BYD. We talked about BYD before. So what we see is that BYD in total has approximately 8,000 active patent families in their portfolio. Okay, but what we see here is that within these almost 8,000 active patent families, 1,359 are classified or are in this field of ESG energy. And this in total makes almost, roughly 17% of BYD's entire portfolio. So now you could compare this to the others here. And for example, Toyota. Let's check Toyota's entire portfolio. So it's almost 10 times higher than the one from BYD. So they have 73,000 active patent families in total, but slightly less share in their total portfolio size than BYD. So this is a quantitative perspective here. What I would like to do here is to change to a quality perspective. So therefore, I simply change this axis to see how is the quality within the ESG energy tag here related to these companies. And this is something also really nice because BYD, since Sven said, it's long ago that everybody said, okay, Chinese are just filing and filing and filing, but the quality is not really high. I think in this field we see a different case. We see on the one hand, yes, China is filing a lot. But what we see is that in these hot topics, in these new upcoming technology topics, Chinese companies are really, really good in terms of quality. So again, what we see here is that 20% of the entire quality KPI within the BYD's portfolio derives from this 17% of the portfolio size. So 1,359 patent families here in the BYD company's portfolio result in 1/5 of the entire quality in this company's field. So we can also play this here or run this to see the development over time. And yeah, we see also, if just looking at the first two lines, that Toyota is massively increasing their portfolio size here and also doing pretty good in terms of quality. Okay, so BYD and Toyota are, from my perspective, some candidates which probably in the future will come up with some really good solutions here in the automotive sector related to ESG energy. So since we talked also about authorities and highlighted China a little bit here, I came up with this map here. So what is this map representing? We see the map and the shading is related to the portfolio size here. So if we again run this here and see the development over time, then we can say that starting in 2015, China became, let's say, one of the more important players here in terms of the portfolio size. So meaning a lot of really good patents related to automotive and the ESG energy tag are coming from China. And this is not only, this is the cool thing I would like to highlight here just in a moment, is that these are not just simply animations or screenshots. Everything is pretty active, so you can drill down in all these visualizations to get more information on the topics you are interested in. So what we could do here basically is then drill down into only the patents which come from China or which are active in China in our field of automotive and ESG energy. So this is what I did here then in this sheet here. So what I wanted to see is, okay, I don't want to have a look at all these Toyotas and Hondas and Fords out there because I know that they are, some of them are pretty good in this field. So, but I just wanted to have a look at companies which are basically based in China. So therefore, I just narrowed down to the automotive or companies which are also working in the field of automotive, but are located in China. So what we see then here, and this is something I like really a lot because it sometimes reminds me a little bit of this Swatch Apple case that Sven showed you before. So whenever we see something like this blue line here, we are kind of happy here in PatentSight to say it like this because it's pretty obvious. BYD is among all these top companies here in China, the company which is outstanding. So not only in terms of the portfolio size, but again also on the right side when we talk about the quality. So yeah, we see that actually BYD has 52 active patent families which are related to our ESG energy tag, and their overall quality index here would be, let's say, 230 in patent asset index, compared to the second best here, which is NEO, with only 66. So the gap between these two already show us that BID puts a lot of effort into these green energy related patents here. So I think we will see some more good work coming from BYD in the future here. So to use this information and to compare it just in an easy example here, I did just a short benchmark, because when I was thinking and when I was using these ESG tags here and work with them also with our clients, then from my perspective, when I think about automotive and energy, obviously Tesla is popping up in my mind, not only because of the media, but also because it's a strong brand and it is kind of the green car here, okay? So I used Tesla and imported Tesla and BYD in my filter. And yeah, because we are located in Germany, I also picked a German company here, Daimler, to see how these three companies here are related to the ESG energy field here. And what we can see here, and this is something I like really a lot, is the development, okay? We see that Daimler is, on the one side, is increasing their portfolio. But what we see at the same time is that the overall quality from Daimler is decreasing over time. So while Tesla's portfolio size didn't change really a lot, but what Tesla managed to do is they came up with really strong and good patents which received a lot of attention and citations. So their overall quality here is really high. So, but what about BYD? Because this is basically the company I'm having a focus on. So BYD is kind of a middle player, but I would say a really good middle player, because they, on the one side, they managed to increase their portfolio related to ESG energy. And in this, at the same time, they are also, or they have a really good overall quality here in these within these patents. So just to give you a relation, so here it said that the competitive impact, you can see this here in this box. So the competitive impact is 3.1. Just to give you a measurement, so we say that all the patents which are related or which are in our database here have an average competitive impact of 1. So what we can say here is that BYD's patents are 3 times higher than the average in this related technology here. So this is pretty good. And I think these information could be or are really valuable information to make your further decisions, whatever these decisions can be. If it's just cherry picking, for example, then definitely in this case, Tesla and BYD will be a good pick, while Daimler, I think this is nothing really new. We hear that every day in the media that Daimler is not really catching up in these technologies overall. So if I would have to pick two players out in this out of this picture here, then it would definitely be BYD and Tesla. Good. So this would be everything that I would like to show for now. I think this has been already a lot of information, and I think or hope that you could get a good overview um, on what PatentSight can do. So we have still a couple of minutes here, and I would suggest that Sven also explain a little bit more on some other use cases.
Yeah, definitely. So this kind of technology fit analysis Goran showed you for the ESG space, we can conduct for any technology worldwide. So we can, for example, like in this use case, we can show you a company's innovative strengths in all future technologies, so Internet of Things, machine learning. We can also do quantum computing, like every technology that is very complex or hard to capture for investment professionals. We can give you access to and show you the leading players and the disruptive companies and maybe risks and opportunities coming up. If you're interested in Corona, for example, we can also tell you which companies are active in Corona research, maybe close to developing a drug. Is this a huge topic at the moment, huge negative topic. What we maybe regarding the products, we have our PatentSight analytics platform. This is our standard product. It's a product that Goran has showed you with ESG analysis. It's a software as a service solution. It's very powerful, has the underlying global patent data and strong visualization capabilities. Target customers are R&D experts and discretionary investors. We sell it in a team license and an enterprise license. We also have for quantitative investment strategies, we have the fitting data sets. So we have, for example, a patent data set with KPIs for every stock listed company worldwide. The data is mapped to financial identifiers, like tickers, for example, and it's easy to be correlated and directly consumed in a data feed. We are very flexible when it comes to delivery, API, FTP, S3 bucket, it's all possible. We also still provide expert analysis. Since we started as a consulting company, we have an in-house patent expert team where we can help you with, let's say, IP due diligence or target search. If you're looking for venture stage company with a promising innovation portfolio, we can help you. I don't know if you're talking also to investment, to M&A investors. If you've acquired a business and you're not sure if the patent portfolio is any worse, we can also show you the gems and the company's portfolio. So this is kind of our range, what we have to offer, product and service wise. If you liked today's webinar and you wanna learn more, feel free to reach out via LinkedIn or email, and we are super happy to provide you a specific web session just for you, where we can pitch a company analysis that is relevant for you. You can drop us some names and we can prepare some analysis. We're also doing trials of our analytics platform and of the data sets for back testings, for example. So it's all possible. And yeah, it would be great to follow up. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat. And yeah, otherwise this was our webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. It was good for us. Great talking to you. Appreciate your time. We wish you a nice afternoon and a nice morning. And yeah, we hope to speak with you again soon. Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Also from my side, thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, I just see that you need the contact details. We can provide you the contact details. I think we have your email address. We will reach out if you're interested. Otherwise, here's my email address also, and on the last page, srudikat@patentsight.com. And we are happy to send you today's presentation and further material on our approach and analytics. Yeah, there's one question. Okay, now we have the questions coming. Perfect. We still have time, so wonderful. Please.
Sure, you can.
Okay, Brandon, it is right. Please ask your question. Is there a hierarchy of patent citations? Some are more important than others. Goran, you want to answer this?
Yeah, simply no. A citation is a citation, so basically these citations come from patent examiners sitting in these patent offices. What they do is to examine a patent to see if it can be granted or not. So, and to do this, they have to do kind of a prior art search. So they're gonna track the patents prior to a applied patent to see where a patent is building on, so on what kind of prior art. So in this case, the prior art patent would be cited or receives a citation. So, but there are some, I just kept it on a high level while I was explaining this methodology to you. What we do is not only or not simply counting forward citations. This would be too easy, but not really a good indicator here. We do some more corrections on these forward citations or received citations. For example, that we track the technology field, so we can't compare apples and pears here. So there have to be some corrections made on technology classes, for example, and also publication years. But to answer your question in short, there is not a hierarchy in citations. So there are citations. Yeah, if a patent gets cited, it gets cited. So there are different labeled citations. Yes, if this is something you are having in mind, so then we can go a little bit closer to see kind of X and Y citations, which say that a patent is more close to its prior art than another. So this is definitely something that examiners label. But this would be something, yeah, probably for a one-on-one session to explain this a little bit more in detail. I hope this is of help for you, Brendan.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Oh, okay, really good question. Are external patent citations more important than internal citations? Or, just let me see, or do you only look at external citations? Okay, so this is a really good question. Imagine a company that has two patents. So the later patent can cite the prior patent owned by this company. So this would be an internal citation. But it's not that this company decides to cite their prior patent. It's, again, the examiner who decides and says, okay, the prior patent from the same company here has to be cited. So, but this is something we can do in our software pretty easy, and this is also a really important thing to see how many citations come from external parties, so from third parties. This is a really good measurement we apply often when it comes to questions like, for example, licensing questions. So then you would need to know which patents are really important for my further innovation process. So probably these ones would be cited more often from the owner, and which patents have been cited more often by third parties, but are probably not that relevant for my further innovation process. So this is something we can really easy do in the software to distinguish between citations coming from one organization or from a third party.
All right, perfect.
More questions?
All right, no more questions so far. Yeah, then we would like to say thank you for joining, spending your time with us. We hope that you learned something new about patent analytics and innovation. Yeah, as I said, we're happy to follow up with you guys personally. We can do web session, a call, on-site meetings if you're around. We're going to be in New York soon, London all the time, in Germany, of course, also. Yeah, looking forward to meeting you, hopefully speaking to you personally. And yeah, have a nice afternoon, nice morning. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.